I am R squared. And so speaking about my conversion experience, of course, I was a cultural Adventist, meaning that I was born in an Adventist family. It was at Form 2 that I got baptized. And from there, of course, I was exposed to Christian literature. I happened to have taken a copy of the History of Redemption series from my mom. And so I used to study them a lot. Something tragic really happened to me. I became sick. I did not know the cause of my sickness. I struggled with it for 3 months. I used to go to the hospital. They would just give me meds, different medication. It was for the first time learning that, people can be like this. They can.
It's no longer the God of Abraham and the God of Isaac, the God of your parents, but it becomes your God.
Yeah. I try to do country living. And of course, my prayer was always get somebody who embraced that as well. Now, I never just wanted a husband, but I wanted a lot more in organic farming. Yeah, I loved farming. Yeah.
You know, in our wedding, she wrote me a poem. It was a beautiful poem, and there are a lot of them back then.
Of course, our meeting was really at a time when you meet. Of course, we met in church. Now, that is the first thing I would want to tell us, that where you are is where you'll meet the person. Yeah. At the time we met, of course, even from that handshake alone, I felt like we had known each other for a long time, for a long time. And I felt at peace with him, though people feared him because maybe, I was just comfortable with that, yeah.
Thank you and welcome to this session. I guess it is a unique one, yeah, and it is rarely done, but this is one way of me introducing you to my family. Yeah, I guess for most of you who have been following us in the History of Christianity channel, you've not seen my family. So today I have Madame, she's Mama Christian, and she's going to introduce herself. This is going to be the first in this series in which I have my family with me. Yeah, and she's going to do most of the talking. I'm going to just be asking your questions on your behalf. Yeah, from her. So that is what we are going to do today. And I want to welcome you and may God bless you. Our intention actually is basically, as in other videos, is to share values that may help anybody out there to keep in the straight and narrow way. Our experience is as unique as she is, and that is what we want to share in today. So back to Mama Christian. I'll ask her to introduce herself, yeah, basically, and in her introduction, perhaps she will say something to her conversion experience. Yeah, what it was. You know, Jesus compares it to a gate, and it is called a straight gate. That is conversion, leading to the narrow way. Yeah, so, but before she even speaks, I would say that whatever that experience was, it made her visible to me because it made her kind and mild, you know. I have a more dominant personality and I know it. And that I believe is precious. God created marriage to be something that is complementary, as opposed to as the world would want to make it competitive. So competitive. So I appreciate that. And I want to give her straight away the microphone. God bless you and welcome. Thank you, Mama Christian. Karibu sana.
Okay.
Thank you.
So to all our viewers, hello, and I hope you're doing well. I am Ravina Roy, or simply put, R square. Yes, simply put, I am R squared. Yes, I come from the highlands of Kenya, that is in Kisii County. And I also happen to have been a member of Kisumu County because I was born and bred in Kisumu. That is where I've basically spent most of my life as a child and as an adult. And so speaking about my conversion experience, of course, I was a cultural Adventist, meaning that I was born in an Adventist family. My dad was an elder and my mom was a staunch member of the church. And so there were values that they held as an Adventist family. Yes, but of course it was at Form 2 that I got baptized. And from there, of course, I was exposed to Christian literature. I happened to have taken a copy of the History of Redemption series from my mom. And so I used to study them a lot. And they helped me grow, of course. And we also used to have external speakers coming to our school to help us with our Christian work and growth. That is in Zero Girls High School. And they used to present various messages. Of course, by that time, some did not really make sense. Yes, some did not really make sense. Like the sanctuary message, the health message, and the struggle and difficulty was like, how do I even become a health reformer in an institution? But after high school, something tragic really happened to me. I became sick. I did not know the cause of my sickness. I struggled with it for 3 months. I used to go to the hospital. They would just give me meds, different medication. Yeah, but I never really understood what the problem was. And it was during that time that the ministry that I used to sing with, we had a public evangelism, that is a crusade. And we had speakers who are coming from Moi University. And something interesting with this particular group of people is that they were health reformers. So it was for the first time learning that people can be like this, they can be unique. So okay, in Adventism we also have another group of people who are actually very unique. So at that given point, then I got introduced to the health message. Yes. And the first week of my life was a trying one during that campaign. It was hard, it was difficult, but I really got to manifest some improvement in my health. So the second Sunday, then one of them noticed, he had noticed previously that I was not okay, and he asked me about it, and I was like, how will you know that I'm sick? So it's like, no, my sister, I know when somebody is sick and when somebody is okay. So it's like, fine. So he took the readings of my BP, and it was high, and I was shocked. Like, I was not big bodied. I was big, but not so big. And so I was shocked, like, how can somebody who is a teenager, develop high blood pressure? So then from there, he got to interrogate me on my lifestyle, what I'm eating, how I'm eating, and things like that. Yeah, so he advised me otherwise, and by the time we were finishing that crusade, things were different. The disease I'd been struggling with, which I did not even know what it was, neither did I know the cause, disappeared. So I went home, and when I went home, of course, things were hard, because, all of a sudden you say that, oh, Mom, I don't feed on this, I don't feed on this, I don't feed on this. So they're like, hey, you're going to die. What is your problem? But thanks to God for the experience and the difference I had. I really knew what it meant to stay in that path. Yes, it was not easy. It came with its challenges. Of course, at a point I got sick. I had to lapse back to taking, fish. So because that is what was provided, my parents insisted I must eat, yeah. And of course, being that I could not now make my own food. So, but immediately I recovered, I went back to that path. And of course, when I got to campus, there was more exposure. I got to learn more messages like, country living through education. I got to have a wider view about the health message. And yeah, it has helped me to be where I am today on issues of modesty, dress and adornment. My parents were strict. So it was something that was not really something to struggle with, because that is how I had been brought up. Yes.
Okay. Oh, thanks a lot, Mama Christian, for sharing that. And I know for a lot of us, that means everything, especially for those who are born in the faith. There comes to the point where it is no longer the God of Abraham and the God of Isaac, the God of your parents, but it becomes your God. Yeah, it becomes your God. And that is what conversion experience is really about. I just want to ask you, Mama Christian, what your passions have always been, especially in the wake of your conversion, what you've always wanted to be, your views of family, and just how to fit into what you may understand as your life work. I remember during our courtship, we had you asked me, would you expect to have a career woman or a homemaker? Yeah, so that means a lot, especially in the dynamic world in which we live. Yeah, so can you say something to that on what your vision for your life work was, your passions, your expectations, especially in reference to family?
Yeah. Sure. And maybe just other stuff to note is that as much as yes, I really wanted to do country living, and of course my prayer was always get somebody who embraced that as well. Now, I never just wanted a husband, but I wanted a lot more, and I was praying to God to really do the right thing. Yeah. So, and the way I grew up, of course, and how my family was, and even the values that we held as a family, I never really wanted to backtrack from it, yes, but I wanted my family to even be a better version of how I grew up. So, things like country living, I think they also affected my project in fourth year. So, and something interesting or something to note is that my project was based on the effects of farm products, yes, pesticides and fertilizers on the soil. And from there, it was with a strong resolution that I really wanted to even do organic farming. Yeah, I loved farming. Yeah, it might sound uniquely strange because I grew in the city, but I really love farming. I really love farming, and of course, I always love what I could really do with my hands. So that also motivated me, or that also was a checkpoint for me. Yeah. So when we met, of course, you also believed in country living. And the other thing, I was just looking at the condition of families in the cities and how they were. And there was a strong resolution for me that I never really wanted to pursue the path of career if I wanted to be a mother. So I had to choose. Yes, I was getting married, but was I to go into career, or was I to be a mother and a homemaker? And of course, now when I read from Adventist Home, messages to young people, letters to young lovers, it really helped to cement my conviction on these various topics. So for me, I had decided, I had decided even before we began courting that I wanted to be a mother, I wanted to be a homemaker, and of course I wanted to country live. And God just helped, to fulfill those dreams. So it was with a strong conviction that I really pursued this path. Though, of course, the world might be judgmental at times, but when we are rooted in Christ, we don't have to care what the world says, because the world has no place. The world has no place in us if we want to do the right thing and if we want to do what God will have us do. Yeah.
Oh, thank you very much. I think for those who know me, that obviously sounds like a miracle. For me to have encountered a person of that kind of mind, especially to want to focus on family. You know, we live in a society in which we are willing to sacrifice everything. We are willing to sacrifice everything, including our children and family, just maybe to fit in and to look, to fit into a fashionable lifestyle and the rest. Yeah, and that was a lot to me, honestly, to meet somebody like that. And of course, that would also require some kind of moral independence on her part and perhaps on our part as a family to make such choices. And of course, I also would want to challenge anybody out there that there is really no loss in that. It only makes even the man stronger to try to protect that kind of a decision. And honestly, I feel challenged that Mama Christian would feel safe in the decision that she felt was God's will to be a homemaker. Yeah, so that I should do whatever it takes and pray and hope to God that she feels safe in that decision. Now, I just want to ask the last question, which is what her aspect is of our meeting. You know, they recollect better than us. So maybe you are interested in that where you are sitting. I know you. You might be wanting, how did these people meet? So maybe a word or so. I know this is a story that will continue, which is why I've decided that is the last question. Yeah, so could you say something? But one thing I want to tell you, in our wedding, she wrote me a poem. It was a beautiful poem. And there are a lot of them back then. And God bless. So say something, Mama Christian.
Yeah, those good old days, yeah. They were so nice. They were so nice. They'll be nice, and I pray that they will be nicer. And of course, our meeting was really at a time when, as a Christian lady who wants to do the right thing, it reaches at a point when you feel like, is this even worth it? Is this even worth it? But he came at a point when I was almost giving up on doing the right thing. And at that given time, then we were able to meet. Of course, we met in church. Now, that is the first thing I would want to tell us, that where you are is where you'll meet the person. Yeah, where you are is where you will meet the person. So if you are in church, you'll meet the person in church. If you are in the world, you'll meet that person in the world. Yeah. And at that time, it was at a point when, of course, personally I'd given up. Yeah. But, our strength, at the time when we're weak, then God becomes our strength. God gives us strength. Yes. So we met in church. There was a program and they happened to be 3 speakers. And of course, I had known 2 of them earlier. And of course, I had also known him, but we had never really interacted so closely. Yeah. So at that point, there were hints like, he used to ask random questions as we'll be walking over to the various residentials. And these questions, I never knew that they were really targeted at knowing who I really was, yeah. But they were useful questions to him, yeah. But for me, I was just answering innocently because I was not even impressed. Like, I was not there to please him because there were so many people and, questions, and they will ask this person and that person, and then it will be directed to me. But that aside, yeah, there were also things I also realized that when God brings the right person, to you, you will know that is the right person because it will come with the stamp and approval of God. You'll know when you have been doing the right thing. At that point, God gives you the right person because He gives you what you are and what you really asked for. Yeah. So at the time we met, of course, even from that handshake alone, I felt like we had known each other for a long time, for a long time. And I felt at ease with him, though people feared him because maybe, the deep voice, that he looked stricter. For me, I was just comfortable with that. Yeah. I was just okay. Like, I was like, okay, let me be me. Yeah. Let me just be me. And something also to note, and something interesting about the time that we were courting, we never took really long. I think we courted for 1 year, 2 months. To some people, that might look short, yeah. But when God brings the right person to you, that is not short. It's long enough to know the person whom you want to spend the rest of your life with. And during courtship, there were trials here and there. We will sometimes agree, will sometimes disagree. But the question is, how do you handle everything? Yes. Mm-hmm. When you have disagreed, how do you deal with it? At what point? Yes. And when you have agreed on something, then that is what needs to be done. That is what you ought to do. That is what you really need to do, and you have to stay at it. Yeah. Even if it will hurt you, you have to stay at it. So there were a lot of lessons, and something also to note about our courtship. Of course, we had strict time for talking. You'll not find us on call past 6:30 p.m. Yeah. So our conversations will end by 6:30 p.m. Ikienda sana will go up to 7. But it was rare unless there was an emergency. Yeah. And during that time, I remember the topics of conversation were basically like, how would we want our family to be? Yeah. What were the principles that were going to really guide that family? Yeah. And, we'll even go down to, there was a time he asked me about, the question of the TV in our sitting room. Will you be comfortable with it or not comfortable with it? But at the back of my mind, I just wanted a quiet life. Yeah. Free from the interference of the world. So I was just comfortable with a TV or a no TV, but I was more comfortable with a no TV kind of a life because of what I felt I really wanted to do, and the responsibilities that really lied ahead. So yeah, that is just a little about our courtship experience. But of course, there are so many lessons to really learn from it. Yeah. And if time will allow, maybe next time we'll now get into the details of the nitty-gritties of how it was. But for now, I'll finish there.
No, that is beautiful. That's a beautiful summary. And it's a summary, that is the fact. Maybe when we pick up next time, she'll read out the poem. Maybe it's her choice, but we can pick it up from there. And we have reason to thank God for every circumstance of it. Yeah, we have reason to thank God for every circumstance of it. Right now, there is, I don't know if his voice is being somewhere in the background, a young Kenyan. That is why she's called Mama Christian. Yeah, so we thank God, and may God bless you in Jesus' name.